And the NFA was founded in 1972 as a common ground for flutists to exchange ideas and inspiration. And in the years since, it has grown to become one of the world's largest flute organizations with members from all 50 states and countries across the globe. We invite all of you to become NFA members if you haven't already, and take advantage of our year-round benefits, including a subscription to the Flutist Quarterly, borrowing privileges from our sheet music library, discounted instruments, insurance, and more. Also, visit nfaonline.org to learn more and join today. We'd also like to acknowledge that today's online event is made possible with support from our members, and our donors, and the Illinois Art Council Agency. Thank you, and now I hand it over to Seetha Shivaswamy. I hope I did it correctly.
Thank you, Mayra. Seetha Shivaswamy. It was really close. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Seetha, and this class is Poses for the Practice Room. And I'm based in Austin, Texas, where I perform and do recordings. I have a private teaching studio. I'm also a certified yoga instructor, and I've been practicing yoga for over 20 years. It has helped me so much with all of the inherent repetitive stress that we get from practicing flute for long hours every day. And I love creating and sharing yoga sequences with my students and my colleagues, and hopefully to help them play with greater ease and less tension. And my wish is that you all will integrate some of these poses within your own practice sessions, and maybe even teach your students as well if you're teachers. So I would love to, if you feel comfortable, be able to see you. If you feel comfortable putting on your video. If you don't, it's no problem at all either. I just ask that you please have access to a chair. It can be any chair. I'll show you the chairs that I'm using. I'm using this old like IKEA chair, or I have a yoga chair as well, but you can use the chair that's in your studio or in your office. And then also have access to a wall space. Hopefully those two are easy enough to have available at any time. I just have one rule for the class, and that is to please don't overdo anything. If you feel any pain, please stop, and please trust yourself first. I see yoga as more of an exploration and an opportunity to create space and listen to our bodies. Another thing is, if you get confused, which sometimes happens in a yoga class, left and right, or there are a lot of instructions sometimes that can be confusing. So I have my fiance here, Harish, he's also a certified yoga instructor and data analyst. And so please look at Harish, who will be demonstrating the poses today. And I'm probably going to be kind of checking in on you guys as well. Okay, so let's begin. I have my little skeleton friend here, and I just want to do a little bit of body mapping before we get into the asana practice. So the first thing that I wanted to show you is the tailbone. So I don't know if all of you guys can see that, but the tailbone is at the very base of the spine. So if you all take your fingers and place them behind your back, and just a little bit below your waistline in the middle, you will discover a little bony protrusion there, and that's your tailbone. Okay, so just become aware of the tailbone. I also would like for you to become aware of the shoulder blades. So the shoulder blades are all the way up here in the back body, and they're towards the top of the rib cage on either side. So everybody shrug your shoulders and notice the shoulder blades moving up and down on the back body. It's a little hard to feel them with your fingers without contorting your arms, so just shrug and see if you can notice them moving. Good. And then in the front body, notice the sternum. So the sternum is right here in the middle of the rib cage. So take your two fingers, find the sternum. It's kind of below the notch of the throat. And there's a little bony protrusion here. This is the top of the sternum. The sternum is a long bone, but I'm going to have you become more aware of the top of the sternum. Good. And then one more, I'd like you to become aware of the collarbone. So the collarbones begin at the sternum and go all the way wide and actually connect with the upper arm bone and the tip of the shoulder blade. So take your fingers and begin to palpate across the chest the collarbones and feel how wide the collarbones are, how they move all the way to the edge of the chest, connect with the shoulder blade and the upper arm bone, and just becoming aware of those parts of your body. Okay, so let's begin. I'd like everybody to lie on the floor. If you have a yoga mat, lie on your yoga mat, and we'll lie in constructive rest. Constructive rest is knees are bent, soles of the feet are on the ground, and let's have our arms in a T with the palms facing up. And if you'd like, you can close your eyes and settle in. We'll do a little body meditation here. Notice your tailbone and become aware of the shoulder blades in the back body. Notice the top of the sternum. And become aware of the spread of the collarbones across the chest. Notice your breathing. Is it shallow or deep? Is it fast or slow? Don't try to change it. Just meet yourself where you are right now without judgment. We'll be here for 5 breaths. Breathing in, breathing out. Noticing your body being held by the floor. Notice how the arms being in a T creates an external rotation in your upper arm that counteracts that natural internal rotation that we have when we play the flute. So this is a really easy, lovely, restorative pose to just lie down on your back in the middle of a practice session, take a break, and breathe. So I do constructive rest multiple times a day. I do it as soon as I get up. I do it multiple times during the day before I go to bed. Just kind of sets me back into a neutrality, into a calmer place. Breathing in and breathing out. Roll to your right side and we'll do a side lying pose. It's called Anantasana. Prop your head up with your hand. Bend your knees. Good. And good. Place your other hand in front of your chest if you're having any issues with balance. So be easy in this pose. These are not meant to be challenging poses. These are meant to be restorative, easy poses that help you access the breath. So here we are accessing the breath on the side body, and particularly underneath the armpits. You have these muscles, they're called the intercostal muscles here. You have the serratus muscles all along the side body, and those can get quite tense throughout the day, and especially when we're playing flute. It's really important to release those bindings in the intercostals to help the rib cage expand so that the lungs can expand. If anybody feels any neck discomfort, you can straighten your arm and rest your ear on top of the arm. And I'm having Harish demo all of these. If you have any confusion, you can always look to your camera. Good. Breathing in through the side body. A slight flex of the feet. So we're activating the entire body. And roll onto your belly. So we're lying prone here. Take one hand, rest it on the top, and rest your forehead on top of your hands. Bring your big toes to touch, and your heels are wide. And notice how the breath fills into the back body here. So a lot of the lung tissue, most of the lung tissue is closer towards the back. So it's a little easier to access the breath when we're on our bellies. This is also a wonderful pose for calming the nervous system. It's a wonderful pose to do before you have any challenging passage in your music that requires challenging breath work, like the solo in Afternoon of a Faun, any J.S. Bach sonata. You know, most of the flute repertoire is challenging breath for breath. So this is a really wonderful way to access the breath, breathing through the back body. And exhaling all the way to the end of the exhale, releasing all of that stale air. And a slow, smooth inhalation. And bathing your body in breath here in this prone position. And roll over to your left side. We will do Anantasana side lying pose on the left side. Prop your head up with your hand and place your right hand in front of your chest for balance. Keep your knees bent, be easy, a little flex of the toes. Option to straighten the arm, the left arm, and rest the left ear on top of the arm if the neck is aggravated at all in this pose. And if anything is aggravated by any of these poses we're doing today, please come back to constructive rest. That's our neutral pose that is always a good one to come into when you're not feeling quite right in any of the poses. And breathing through that left side of the body, underneath the armpit, just releasing those bindings in the intercostals so the rib cage can move freely. Allowing the lungs to move freely and to fully be able to expand. And breathing in and breathing out through that left side of the body. And roll onto your belly. Place the opposite hand on top. Rest your forehead on the hand. Big toes touch, heels apart. And becoming aware of the back body breath. Exhaling, 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 all the way to the end of the exhale. Releasing all of that stale air so you can fully inhale. Slow, smooth inhalation. Letting the facial muscles be soft. Allowing the jaw to be soft. And breathing in and breathing out. In the height of COVID, a lot of doctors were putting their patients in prone position when COVID was such a horrible respiratory disease. And for some people, that was the only way they could breathe. Really accessing the broadness of the back and how that helps the breath. I think as flutists, our consciousness goes more towards the front body, and they call it the unconscious. The back body is the unconscious. So this is a really good way to bring a little bit more awareness to the back body. And push yourself up to all fours. And if you can just take a look at Harish for a moment, he's going to roll up the mat. If you guys have a yoga mat, or alternatively, if you have a blanket, like a blanket or a towel, you don't have to get up and get it right now, but these are just like some ideas for you to experiment with in your practice room. But he's going to roll up the mat, maybe so the mat is about 2 inches thick. So if you have a super thin mat, you might have to roll the mat up all the way. If you have kind of a thick mat, maybe you just roll it up half the way. And then remember where the shoulder blades were. So just shrug your shoulders one more time to remember where the shoulder blades live on that top part of the rib cage. You're going to lie back on that roll, on that bolster roll, and you're going to place it right underneath the shoulder blades. There's no real exact place for it. For me, I always think, where's that place where I want somebody to get in there and do some massage in my shoulders? That's where I like that bolster to be. And this is a beautiful supported back bend. The feet can be in constructive rest, knees bent, soles of the feet on the floor. If you feel tension in your legs, you can bring your feet wide and knock your knees together. So the goal is, how do we access a free and easy breath? And this pose really allows access to that beautiful inhalation by giving us just a little extra boost in our chest, broadening the chest from the sternum all the way through the spread of the collarbones on the chest. And noticing your breath here. Arms can be to a T, palms are facing up. Again, you're giving that external rotation of the upper arm to counteract the internal rotation of when we play flute. Like pouring a glass of water, imagine the breath filling the bottom of the lungs first and rising up, and the top of the lungs actually go all the way up to the collarbones. So it's a three-dimensional breath. You have a front body, side body, back body, all moving in unison, expanding and contracting, remembering to release all of that stale air and move all the way up to the top of the lungs on the inhale. This pose is really nice to do for building confidence. Also, back bends in general are. but especially supported back bends. I love using the floor for support. We're working with gravity, where most of the day we're working against gravity, and gravity slowly is pulling our body down. So all of these floor poses are wonderful. And my philosophy is things don't have to be difficult to be powerful and healing. Sometimes the easiest poses are the ones that are really the most beneficial. You know, breathing in and breathing out. So this is one you can do before a stressful audition or a big concert, just to boost your confidence a little bit and help you access that inhalation. And I like to be creative with props. I like to use household items for props, so towel, blanket, anything. You could even put a pillow underneath your head or a book underneath your head. Just for the sake of simplicity in this class, I'm not using a lot of props, but it might help if you feel any neck tension in this pose to put something under your head. So be creative. I'd love for you to experiment in your own practice room throughout this week and see what works for you. Good. Roll to your right, push yourself up to seated, and unroll your bolster roll. So unroll your yoga mat or remove whatever roll you had on your mat. Just put it to the side. Good. Lie back down on your back. We'll do one more floor pose. So this time I want to kind of activate the lower body a little bit. So lie in constructive rest. And then this time let's cross the right ankle over the left and release your knees. Right ankle over your left ankle. Yeah. Release your knees out to the side into a reclined, simple cross-legged. If this is tweaky on your knees at all, come back to constructive rest, or you can always observe the class. I really like, this is called Supta Sukhasana, reclined easy seat in Sanskrit, the ancient language of yoga. Reach your arms overhead and grab your elbows. And just notice which arm is on top. Notice which leg is on top. I really like this one because you have this beautiful lengthening in your side body from your elbows all the way to your knees. And just a slight flex of your toes. Feel the broadness of the sole of your feet, the length, the width of your foot. And this is a wonderful hip opener. If the hips are tight, the shoulders tend to be tight. So we have to really think about our lower body to how does our lower body support our upper body? This is a really nice one also. It's a little bit of a psoas release. The psoas is a deep muscle inside the body, and it connects the lower body to the upper body and actually connects to the diaphragm. So if the psoas is tight, the diaphragm doesn't have as much movement. So it's really interesting how everything is connected in the body. The more I study, the more I realize, oh my gosh, there's so much to learn, and I may not learn everything in this lifetime, but it's fascinating. And we're just here using our bodies as our laboratory, so to speak. So breathing in and breathing out. This beautiful restorative pose, Supta Sukhasana, reclined, simple cross-legged. My students actually love doing this. They'll just say, I need to take a break, and then they'll lie down on the floor and do this on their own. So it seems to be really effective for kids as well, all ages. Okay, so remember which leg is on top and switch the legs. So let's uncross and then recross the legs and the arms. So let's come to the other side. So we'll balance that asymmetry there. So I believe that the left ankle is on top, and then the opposite arm is on top, grabbing your elbows. And settle back in, breathing out. Feel the elongation of both sides of your waist, from your elbows all the way to your kneecaps, kneecaps all the way up to the elbows. Notice the broadness of your collarbones. Noticing your breath. I could stay in this pose all day, really, but just for the sake of time, let's come back to constructive rest for a moment. This time, keep your hands on your belly. And just be here for a moment in this neutral pose. So when I say neutral, I'm talking about the neutrality of the spine, accentuating the natural curves of the spine. There's a little bit of a curve behind the neck and in the lower back. There's a little bit of a hump in our thoracic spine. Notice your tailbone heavy on the ground, the shoulder blades, the sternum, and the collarbones. Roll to your side and push yourself up to seated. And please grab a chair and place it in front of the camera and take a look at Harish for a moment. Look at your camera. I'll give you a moment. I know I'm waking you up from these juicy restorative poses, so please move slowly. We have time. Take a moment, grab your chair, sit down in your chair when you get it. It can be any chair. You can get it from your kitchen or from your studio. If you have a couch, you can use your couch. I'll just give you a minute to get a chair. Good. Sit at the edge of your chair and just take a look at your feet. Make sure your feet are underneath your knees. And I would like to do an exercise where we can find neutral spine while sitting in the chair. So we sit in chairs most of the day, unfortunately. It's not great to sit in a chair all day, but you know what? You're in a chair. Let's use it as a prop and feel better. So to find neutral spine, keep your hands on your legs. And sometimes we slouch. So let's just come into a slouch. Slide your hands down to your kneecaps and kind of slouch. Make sure the slouch is in your upper back and let your head hang. Just let the base of your skull hang. You're just kind of slouching. Yeah, right. Good. And then let's move to the opposite. So let's move into a back bend. Slide your hands up the leg, widen your collarbones, bring your elbows towards one another and look up. Lift your sternum. Heavy the tailbone to protect the lower back. Good. And then on your exhale, let's come back into that slouch. Exhaling. And then inhaling, sliding your hands up, coming into that hyperextension, that back bend. Good. And come right in the middle of both of those. So in between the slouch, in between the back bend. Beautiful. This is what we call neutral spine. it's really easy to lose it, to lose the neutral spine. It's really easy because we have a music stand in front of us, we're in these long rehearsals, and inevitably we start slouching a little bit, or we become a little bit less conscious of our bodies because the music is so compelling, right? So these are really nice to kind of do within a rehearsal or when you have a rest or something like that. Just to come back to neutrality, I'd like to just do a little bit of arm movements here, shoulder movements. So interlace your fingers, reach your arms straight. Good. Reach your arms overhead, making sure you're breathing. Good. Moving from the back of the shoulders, moving up the body. So the shoulder blades are moving up the body and carrying your arms up. Really nice. And then reach your arms out to the side. Pretend like there are walls on the side that you're pushing away. Nice. Bringing some blood flow back into your arms and hands. Good. Interlace your fingers behind your back and move towards straightening your arms. You may not be able to straighten them. A lot of us have really tight shoulders. Good. Inhaling and exhaling. Keeping that tailbone heavy as you lift the sternum. So tailbone heavy means you don't want to lift your bottom off of the chair too much. That hyperextends the lower back. So to keep that lower back secure, we keep the tailbone heavy and we lift from the sternum. Beautiful. Exhale, release. Give yourself a hug. So opposite hand to opposite shoulder or upper arm. Look down at your arm. Exhaling, exhaling, exhaling into this broad back. Good. Looking forward, release the hug, open the arms wide, switch the cross of the hug, and look down. Accessing that back body breath, feeling the shoulder blades moving wide away from the spine. Breathing in and exhaling all the way to the bottom of the exhalation. Beautiful. Exhale, release. Interlace your fingers behind your head and just lean back. And I feel the activation of your upper back. Bring your elbows towards one another. Heavy the tailbone and lift the sternum, lift your gaze. Breathing in, breathing out. Exhale, release. That's another way of reminding ourselves, like, where is the head? Where does the head belong on top of the spine? So I was reading somewhere the more that the head moves away from the spine, it adds like 10 pounds per inch to the weight on top of our spine. So this is a really good one for just reminding your body, hey, where's my head supposed to be? Okay, let's do some simple twists. Twists are wonderful for, again, opening up the intercostals. We were doing some side lying poses on the floor. Let's do some twists here using the chair. I love twists in a chair. They feel really grounded and stable. I feel like I'm not going to overdo it when I'm in the chair. So first of all, pay attention to your feet. Make sure your feet are grounded into the floor. Heavying the tailbone, lifting the sternum. Now everybody take your left hand and put it on the outside of your right leg towards the knee. Take your right hand and move it behind your back and grab the chair seat or press into the chair. And begin to move your nose any amount towards the right. And move your nose any amount towards the left shoulder. Getting a little bit of neck mobility here. And moving the nose a little bit to the right again. And exhale, release, come to center. Place both hands on the legs. Good. Feel your feet, heavy the tailbone. Take the right hand on the outside of the left leg close to the knee. Left hand behind your back, grab the seat of the chair or press into the chair seat. From the heaviness of the tailbone, lift your sternum and begin to move your nose towards the right, any amount, keeping your neck free. Heavying that tailbone if you feel anything in your lower back that's tweaking. Breathing in and moving your nose a little to the right, a little bit of mobility in the neck and releasing. So when we play flute, we naturally twist a little bit to the left. So let's do the twist to the right one more time to counteract that asymmetry. So feet, tailbone, those are our grounding elements. Sternum is our lifting element. Left hand to the outside of the right leg towards the knee, right hand behind the back, grab the chair seat, press down into the chair seat, and moving the nose towards the right, any amount. Feeling that opening in the right side of the chest, the collarbone is wide, twisting from the upper body, and exhale, release. Good. Twists are really easy to access. When you're sitting around at your desk, you're at your computer, you're teaching, you're in a rehearsal. We'll do one more variation of twist. This one's a fun one. Harish is going to slide around to the right side of the chair. So now the back of the chair is facing to your right side. And then notice your feet, ground your tailbone, and then just move over to the right, grab the top of the chair. Your left knee might go a little forward of your right knee. That's a good thing. It allows a little mobility in the pelvis. Good. Heavy the tailbone, lift the sternum, and any amount, move the nose towards the right. Inhaling and exhaling. The spread of the elbows away from one another will create a little bit deeper twisting. Breathing. Heavy the tailbone, lifting the sternum. Feeling your feet. And keeping your neck free. Exhale, release. Come back to center. Be here for a moment. And then we are going to scooch to your left, scooch to your left, scooch to your left. So you're going to rotate the body to the other side of the chair. Notice your feet below your knees. Notice your tailbone heavy, sternum is lifted, and then twist over to the left, grab the top of the chair. Inhaling and exhaling, heavying the tailbone, lifting the sternum, and any amount, moving the nose towards the left. Feeling your feet. And here the right knee might move a couple centimeters in front of the left knee. And that creates a little bit of flexibility in the pelvis. You don't want to create any stiffness there. Inhaling and exhaling. Moving the elbows wide away from one another for a deeper twist. Heavying the tailbone. Lifting the sternum, and any amount, moving the nose to the left. And any neck tension, come a little away, move the nose to the right. And find that beautiful place where your neck feels free, where you feel buoyancy in your upper body. Using your breath to create spaces in your body. Exhale, release. Be here for a moment with your hands on your legs and fix your gaze a few inches in front of your nose, soft gaze. And notice your breath. Allow a softness of your jaw. Allow the tongue to rest at the bottom of the mouth. The space around the eyes to be soft. Very nice. Press into your thighs and come to standing. Good. We will come into a downward facing dog using the chair. So please look at Harish, how he's placing the chair towards the top of the mat. He's facing the back of the chair. I love this version of downward facing dog because you don't have to put any pressure on your upper body. Sometimes we have to be really careful about our wrists, our hands, our forearms because we stress them out so much when we're playing. So I love this downward facing dog. So everybody grab the top of the chair, the back of the chair, and begin to walk back away from the chair just until the arms are straight. Bend the knees and then bend down so your ears are right between the arms. And what this does is it creates this beautiful lengthening of all of the muscles around the spine, heavying the tailbone. Bend your knees a little bit, everybody. That's it. If you have any knee issues, think about the external rotation of the knees. Make sure your knees are not dropping inwards. And if this doesn't feel good, constructive rest. But I love this downward facing dog. I feel like it really helps lengthen all the muscles around the shoulder blades, around the spine. We get so much binding here, especially around the armpit area, the rotator cuff. Like we get a lot of binding there. Make sure you're not gripping too hard onto the chair. Keep your grip loose. Where we want to find stability is in our heels, in our feet. So really feel heavy in the heels. A little bit of a bending the knees will help you feel that grounding sensation. Breathing in, making sure you're not holding your breath. And you're feeling the length from your tailbone all the way to the crown of the head and all the way through your fingers. Feel that lengthening of your body. Feel the grounding of the body through the heels. And exhale, begin to walk forward and come to standing. Good. You don't really want to move too quickly, always thinking about how you're not only entering a pose, but also exiting a pose. Really nice. So for a long time, I had a repetitive stress injury. I had thoracic outlet syndrome. This is a long time ago when I finished my master's. I was practicing for this recital, and of course, I had to throw all the hard pieces on one recital. And I ended up getting a lot of numbness and tingling in my arms, and it was scary. It was terrifying. I had to quit playing for a few months, and I couldn't put any weight. I couldn't even raise my arms for a while. So I would do things like this using a chair, and this was very accessible to me. It's also accessible, you know, if you're in your practice room, you don't want to get on the floor, or if you're in a university situation. That's a really good one to do. Okay, so I've been talking a little bit about the lower body and how can we bring more awareness to the lower body, how the lower body supports the upper body. So I'd like to do some balancing poses for that. Most of you know tree pose. I'd love to do some variations of tree pose. I'll join Harish here for tree pose because I love tree pose. So I'd like for you to have your chair, just stand next to your chair. I don't want anybody falling. And you don't get a prize if you can stand in tree without the chair, or if you have better balance than somebody else. It's really not about that. It's really about how do we find our center? How do we find that sense of grounding, that sense of calming the mind? I really like balancing poses for that. These are really great to do actually like before a concert or something like that. If you have pre-performance jitters, which I think all of us still get. Balancing poses are wonderful for that. So have your chair, you know, near you, and just grab your chair. It doesn't matter which side the chair is on. Just grab your chair with whatever hand, and feel the left foot, sole of the foot in the ground, and just kickstand the right foot onto the left. So I'm bringing my right heel up the left shin, and my right toes are in the ground. Good. So it's variation one, tree pose. This is a real easy one to do. You don't have to look weird doing tree pose backstage. You can just hang out in here. Good. Now, what I'd like for you to do to find that really good sense of balance is feel the grounding of the left foot, and then fix your gaze on one point in front of you. If you feel like you have your balance, release the chair and place both hands together at the chest. Good. Or, you can go, you can really do anything with the hands if you want to put the hands up here too. It's all good. Good. Breathing in, breathing out. Don't forget to breathe. Good. Exhale, hold the chair and release. We'll do the other side. Feel the right foot really grounded into the floor. We'll kickstand that left foot. The heel is going to come up the right shin and the left toes are on the ground. We're holding the chair if you want. If you find your balance, bring your palms together at the chest. Or really, you can put the palms overhead. You can reach overhead. It's up to you. I like this one. I feel very grounded here. So feel from pushing that heel into the floor, feel the elongation of your body all the way through the crown of the head. Good. Grab the chair, exhale, release. Good. And we'll do another variation of tree. This is a great one. If you don't like the other variations, come back to the one we just did, the kickstand. So left foot heavy, right hand is, or whatever hand is grabbing the chair. And then the right foot, the sole of the foot is going to come up the shin, not on the knee, that will destabilize you, but just up the shin, the sole of the foot. Okay, if you feel like you found your balance from the grounding of that left foot, elongating all the way through the crown of the head, fixing your gaze on one point, bring your palms together at the chest. And a tree can sway in the wind. We've had a lot of storms here in Texas, and I see all the trees, swaying, but their roots are so solid in the ground. And some days it's windier than others. Okay, exhale, release. Some sides are easier, some days are easier. It really varies for me. Okay, variation 3. You have 2 variations to do if variation 3 doesn't work for you. So hug your right knee into your chest. And then just release that back down. Hug your left knee into the chest. Release that back down. Hug your right knee into the chest. Bring the sole of the foot to the inner left thigh. Holding onto the chair if you want. Sole of the foot to the inner left thigh. Resist the thigh, the inner thigh against the foot. Resist the foot against the thigh. Find that equilibrium with your gaze, with your grounding. And if you'd like to, if you have your balance, bring your palms together. Breathing in, breathing out, the elongation from the heel all the way through the crown of the head. The calming gaze, the steadiness of your gaze to bring you into the present moment. Grab the chair, exhale, release, straighten that leg and place it back down. Hug the left knee into the chest, bring that foot, sole of the foot into the inner thigh, resist the thigh against the foot, resist the foot against the thigh, create this equilibrium here. From the grounding of your heel, feel the length of your body all the way through the crown of your head. Fix your gaze on one point, and if you found your balance, bring your hands together at your chest. Breathing in, breathing out. Keep your gaze soft, and keep your jaw soft. And hold the chair. Exhale, release, straighten that leg and place the leg right back down on the ground. Good. That's a really great one for just reminding you, like, hey, I have a lower body. We get so preoccupied, right, with the upper body when we're playing flute, with our embouchure, with our arms, with our shoulders. So it's a really great way to remind us of that as well. Okay, move the chair off the mat. We are going to use a wall. You don't need really like a huge wall or anything. We actually moved our entire TV stand and console out so we could have this wall. I know a lot of us don't have huge wall spaces, but you just need a little bit. I'm going to show you some palm rotations. This is actually a pretty common one. A lot of teachers have started teaching. It's wonderful to do when we're working on technical passages, when we're doing things that are requiring a lot of repetitions and stress on our fingers, our wrists, our arms. So what we're going to do, you may not be able to see Harish there, but he's taking his right hand, he's standing perpendicular to the wall, and he's taking his right hand and placing the right hand against the wall, just like that. Just hanging out like that. It's a simple pose. Make sure your toes are both pointing forward. Be aware of your bottom, of the lower body. Yeah, the other hand can be on the hip. Good. And just hang out. If you don't feel anything, make sure your arm is straight. A lot of us will feel something immediately. So, this kind of rush of blood coming back into these muscles. Good. Feel the base of the palm, the heel of the palm into the wall. Feel the base of the fingertips into the wall. Another thing is making sure your fingers are equidistant, kind of like a music staff, right? Same equidistant space in between your fingers. Good. If you feel any sensation of pain, please don't do this. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. But if this feels great, do it. I do this multiple times a day. Let's switch sides. Let's do the left side. Good. Just look at your toes. Make sure your toes are pointing forward. Good. And then right hand on your hip. Yep. You're just hanging out against the wall. Arms are straight. If you still don't feel anything and your arms are straight, you can move the eye of your elbow towards the ceiling. Some of you are way more flexible than me, I'm pretty sure. But yoga is not about flexibility, really. It's about alignment and breath. Good. Breathing. The base of the palm, the base of the fingertips are pressing into the wall. Good. Exhale, release. So that's variation one. This is a variation we can always come back to. I'm going to teach you two more variations. Turn around, flip around to the right. So you're standing perpendicular to the wall. This time we're going to rotate the palm to the right. So the fingertips are going to be facing the right. If you feel any tweaking, don't do it. Or go back to variation one, or go back to constructive rest. It's really great. It's all good. Okay, feel the base of the feel the base of the palm into the wall. This might be a little harder. I mean, it's such a juicy pose. I love doing these poses. I do them multiple times a day, really. It's so easy to just find a wall and hang out. You can even watch TV and do this. Um, okay, that's good. Opposite side, left side. Rotating the palm to the left. Good. Making sure your toes are pointing forward. Keeping your knees soft. Right hand on the hip. Good. Just feel the broadness of the chest here, the broadness of the collarbones, especially on that left side of the body. Breathing. A good way as far as timing is concerned. Exhale, release, come out. A good way to tell how long you should stay in a pose is if you have access to a free and easy breath. If you find yourself holding your breath, maybe it's time for you to get out of the pose. Or maybe it's not a good pose for you. So really using the breath as a measuring stick, as a gauge for the timing of how long you should hold every pose. Okay, one more variation. If you don't like this variation, this one's intense. So if you don't like this variation, you can always go back to variation one, variation two. This one is where you rotate the palm all the way down. So the fingertips are pointing down. Yep. And we're back at the wall. We're at the right side. I feel a lot in this one. Some days I don't want to do this one. So let's come out of that one. Let's not hold that for too long. Let's do the other side, left side, rotating the palm down so the fingertips are pointing down. Good. Notice your feet. Notice your breath. Are you holding your breath? Is this too intense for you? Is this awesome? Do you love it? I mean, just notice what your breath is telling you. Good. Exhale, release. We won't hold that one for too long. There's one more thing I want to do on the wall, and that is cactus arms on the wall. So stand with your back towards the wall and bring your arms up to cactus. So elbows are bent, backs of the palms are against the wall. Your heels are against the wall. The bottom is against the wall. And you may or may not be able to get the backs of palms against the wall. It's really not imperative, but this is a really good one for shoulder mobility. Now we will begin to slowly slide our arms up towards straight. Many of you may not be able to get it straight. There's no prize up there if you get it straight. Good. And then bending and coming back down to cactus. Good. Let's move with your inhale. So notice your breath. When you are doing an inhalation, let's move the arms up. And then when you're doing an exhalation, you can move towards bending the arms into cactus. We'll do that a couple times. This is really hard for me, honestly. I love doing this every day. I feel like if you do it every day, you're going to get a lot of mobility in the shoulders. Help strengthen the shoulders. So we strengthen by first loosening, releasing bindings, and then we work towards strengthening. Good. That's enough. Harish, it's enough for Harish, I think. He's at a computer all day, so he's got a lot of the same stuff we do as well. Okay, wonderful. Let's stand to face the short edge of your mat, and we'll do mountain pose. We'll stand in mountain pose. It's called Tadasana in Sanskrit. Good. So mountain pose, feet are hips width distance. Arms are at your side. Yeah. Good. And then reach your arms overhead for volcano pose. When you reach your arms, I want you to reach your arms from the shoulder blades moving up the body. So the shoulder blades are moving up the rib cage, lifting your upper arm. Good. Keeping your neck free. That's it. So it's a little experiment here. It's an exploration. How can I move from my shoulder blades without tightening my neck too much? Good. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. Take your right hand, grab your left wrist. Can you stand back just a little bit, Harish? I think so they can see your hands. Take your right hand, grab your left wrist. Good. Bend to the right. Bend the right knee. Lean back. And any amount, look toward the left arm. So this is a standing version of the side opening that we did earlier, the Anantasana. Breathing in, don't hold your breath. Good. Exhale, release. Let's do the opposite side. So left hand to the right, wrist, lean to the left, bend the left knee, lean back a little bit, and then any amount, look towards the right. Breathing, using your breath as a measuring stick. Are you too deep in the pose? Do you want to go deeper? Making sure that your feet are leading the pose. Good. Exhale, release. Beautiful. Come into mountain pose. Notice your breath. On your inhale, reach your arms out to the side, palms facing up. Good. Moving with your exhale, bring your palms together at your chest. On your inhale, reach your arms up, look up, reaching from the shoulder blades, lifting. And exhale, release the arms back down to the side, mountain pose. One more time, moving with your breath. Inhale, reach your arms out to the side, palms facing up. Exhale, palms together at your chest. Inhale, reach up, look up. This time, swan diving down, standing forward bend. Bend your knees, everybody. Let your head hang, let your shoulder blades hang off of your body. I love forward folds. Let the base of your neck completely be free. Shake your head yes, shake your head no. Bend to the knees. Make sure your knees are a little bit bent so you're not stressing out your back. Good. I love forward bends for releasing the shoulders. Place your hands on your hips. Lift your sternum and come back to mountain pose. Beautiful. One more time. Inhale, reach your arms out to the side, palms facing up. Exhale, palms together at the chest. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, swan dive down, bend your knees. Let your head hang. Standing forward bend. Exhaling all the way to the end of the exhale, releasing the stale air. Letting the shoulder blades just hang off of your body. It's such a nice release, letting the base of the skull be completely free. Hands on your hips, feel your feet, lift your sternum, and come back to standing. Face the long edge of your mat, and take a wide step out. So maybe 3 or 4 feet, depends on how tall you are. We'll just experiment. Good. Feel your feet. Make sure that your toes are pointing forward. Good. Place your hands on your hips. Interlace your hands behind your back. Reach your arms long. Inhale, lift your sternum, look up, and exhale, keeping your knees soft. We'll begin to fold forward into wide-legged, standing forward bend with a shoulder opener. Those of you who are flexible, maybe your arms will come a little higher away from your back. Lovely. Exhaling, exhaling, exhaling into this pose. Releasing the interlace, let your arms hang down, let your shoulders hang down. This pose is called Prasarita Padottanasana in Sanskrit. I like to call it serenity pose. I find it to be extremely calming. Good. Place your hands on your thighs. Push down on your thighs, press into your feet, lift your sternum, come to standing, and shuffle your feet together, hands on the hips. Wonderful. I'm going to do a couple more things before we wrap up. I will do a series of strengthening poses. All of the poses that we've done so far have led us towards loosening, finding our breath, opening up, releasing bindings, finding resonance. So let's move towards a little bit of strengthening. Those of you who don't want to do the strengthening or just not, their bodies are not in a place to put weight on it, feel free to omit this and you can wait until our cool down. I'd like for everybody to look at your screen, and I'm going to have Harish demo. So he's interlacing his hands in front of his chest. And place your forearms on the ground. Good. And he's going to step back into plank pose. Look forward, Harish. Good. We're going to start with plank pose. Then he's going to walk forward, lifting his hips up into dolphin pose. Slight bend of the knees. And then the ears come between the arms here. He's feeling a lot of pressure in his forearms and his inner wrists. And this is wonderful for firming the shoulder blades onto the back. So this is for stability and strength of the shoulder blades. Good, Harish. Now bend your knees, place them on the ground, wide knees, big toes come to touch, and he's going to come into a child's pose, releasing his hips to his heels, arms in front. Okay, so these 3 poses we're going to do. Harish, I'm going to have you demo them again as I guide everybody else through the poses. So everybody come to your mat, interlace your hands in front of your chest, place your forearms down onto the mat. Good. Begin to step back into plank, look forward. Good. Firm the shoulder blades on the chest, on the back. Good. Begin to walk forward, bend your knees, bring your ears in between your upper arm. Bend your knees. Good. Firm the shoulder blades onto the back body, breathing in, breathing out. Good. Let's walk back, step back to plank. Look forward. One more time, you guys, before we meet in child's pose. Step forward, lift your hips. Firm the shoulder blades on the back. And place the knees onto the mat, wide knees, big toes come to touch, hips come down towards the heels, into child's pose. Back body breath. This is my current favorite strengthening series, plank, dolphin, and then child's. So you can experiment with that at home. I think it's really helped me strengthen my shoulders a lot. I also like it because you're not putting weight on your hands like in downward dog. Notice I'm not doing any traditional downward dogs in class today because I want these to be accessible for us. We're always putting stress on our hands and wrists already. So it's nice to do a downward dog variation, which is dolphin. Okay, everybody come up and we will cool down. Lie on your backs. Lie in constructive rest. Bend your knees, soles of the feet on the ground. Good. This time, just keep your hands on your belly. Elbows wide, collarbones wide. Notice your breath. Hug your right knee to your chest. Reach your left leg long and begin to guide that knee over to the left. Right hand reaches out to the side to a T, into a nice supine twist. You might get a little adjustment here and come back to center constructive rest. We won't stay in that for too long. Good. Be here for a moment, settle back in. And opposite side, hug your left knee to your chest, reach that right leg long, and guide that knee over to the opposite side of your body. Left hand is to a T, palm is facing up. Breathing in and breathing out. Exhale back to constructive rest. Hands on your belly. And notice your tailbone. Notice your shoulder blades on the back body. Notice your sternum. Notice your collarbones. And become aware of your breathing. Become aware of the breath in the front of the body as the lungs fill from the pelvic belly and fills up all the way to the top of the collarbones, the top of the lungs. Notice the breath in the side body, the sides of the waist, the area under your armpits. Notice the breath in the back body. And the broadness of the shoulder blades away from the spine. And begin to straighten your legs for Shavasana, our final resting pose. Keep your arms to your side, palms facing up. And feel the support of the ground. I'll be silent for about a minute. Using Shavasana as an opportunity to find space in your mind through the awareness of your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Noticing the space between the back teeth, allowing the tongue to rest at the bottom of the mouth. Softening the inner corners of the eyes. Be here for a few more breaths. And begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And slowly rolling over to your right side. Reaching your right arm over your head, resting your head on the arm. Into fetal position. Letting your belly just hang. And begin to push yourself up, your head coming up last to any seated position. You're welcome to sit on the floor or sit in the chair and close your eyes again if you'd like. And I will end practice today with a quote from the great violinist Yehudi Menuhin, who studied with the great BKS Iyengar, who brought yoga from India to the West. He was my teacher's teacher. He says, the practice of yoga induces a primary sense of measure and proportion. Reduced to our own body, our first instrument, we learn to play it, drawing from it maximum resonance and harmony. You can open your eyes if they're closed. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming today. Thank you to the National Flute Association for hosting me. And thank you, Mayra, as well.
Hi,
Uh,
thank you, Seetha. I wanted to open for questions, if anyone have questions for you. I know
yeah.
there is one question in the chat already. Valai asked, what music do you suggest listening to while you're doing this?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because we're all musicians. And I don't know about you, but I get really distracted by music. I can't go to a cafe and study because I get distracted by the music. So I personally suggest binaural beats. I love binaural beats to do yoga with because they do give my ears something to kind of feel like I can focus on. Um, yeah, otherwise I listen to it. So it really depends on you. You know, whatever helps you come into your breath. It's a good question. I think it's a very personal question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any other question? You can unmute yourself and ask.
So I would love to hear if any of you have a favorite pose from today, or if you remember something that you feel like you will take into your practice session or share with your students. Like, I would love for you to type it in the chat. It's always helpful for me to get feedback as well from my students. Um, And if you have any questions later on, I know you're kind of not in a headspace where you're really thinking a lot, which is a good thing. But if any questions do pop up later, yeah, hand on the wall was great. Awesome. If you do end up thinking of any questions later, Mayra has posted my contact info in the chat. So Seetha at austinflute.com or posesforthepracticeroom.com. I'm on Instagram and all of that too. You know, it's probably pretty easy to find me these days, but let me see what these questions are. Neck and shoulders are tight. Yeah, me too. Yeah, wonderful, Wendy. That's awesome. Erica, hand on the wall. Yeah, I love that one. Yeah. Cactus arms. Right. Cactus arms against the wall are amazing. Yeah. Yeah. That makes me really happy that that's helping you guys. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sita. And thank you everyone for attend today's online event. A recording of this event will be published on the NFA YouTube channel later this week. And if you'd like to see the schedule of our upcoming online events, visit NFA online/events. And to learn about other news and events, be sure to follow us on social media or visit our website, nfaonline.org. Thank you.